Hey, boys and girls, those who bounce in between, it's Comrade Dankey here, and in today's video, I wanted to really kind of go over my personal history, how I got started. Of course, if you watch my videos on the Southern Baptist Church, you'll know that I got my big start um, in the Southern Baptist Church. I grew up, born and raised in that environment where they teach a very conservative, very patriotic, and American centric worldview, uh, racist, sexist. Uh, I was taught creationism, young earth creationism, uh, just all this crap. And when I was about 16, 17, being the nerdy white boy I am, decided I wanted to play computer games. I wanted to be part of the PC master race, ladies and gentlemen. And so I built myself a computer. It's actually not that hard. You just got to know which parts to select and which ones to use. And so I built myself a computer, and I'm satisfied to say that's a pretty darn good computer. I passed it on to my little bro, and he uh, has since discarded it, but it's a good computer nonetheless for being as old as it is now. But I use that computer to go on the internet, and on the internet, my curious little danky mind started looking at videos of the evil, forbidden atheists and evolution, which were taboo topics in my world. Keep in mind, I was homeschooled as well, and so I was really pretty much uh, kept in this sort of Christian conservative bubble, which I couldn't burst out of. But like I said in a past video, my mom was cool, so she let me get a computer, and I started researching all this stuff in secret. Uh, she probably thought I was looking at porn, and granted, I was, but at the other times, I was looking at evolution and stuff like that, and I was learning quite a bit. One guy that helped me learn a lot from the get-go was this guy Thunderfoot. Uh, And he made this very lengthy series that debunked a whole lot of the creationist bullshit that I've been taught so long for so many years. I mean, just to hear these guys like Kent Hovind and Ken Ham and uh, just all of those fucking creationist dorks be disproven and debunked before my very eyes, it was an eye-opening experience. But then I got exposed to many, many more people in the atheist community. The other big guys here was the Atheist Experience. I love the Atheist Experience. They take live calls. It's a public access show based out in Austin, Texas. I've actually had the privilege of meeting Matt Dillahunty, that's this guy, in person. He was a very nice guy. I got to see him have a debate with a Psi 10 Brugenkate, which is a video. I might make a video on that in the future. He's an infuriating little man, Psi 10 Brugenkate, and my I loathe him. But all of these popular uploads, these are videos that I watched over and over and over again because these are all arguments that these are all like questions that I had, like, how do you know God isn't real and God reveals himself to some and not others? Why is that? Just all this. People call in with questions. A lot of them are, fairly smart coming from a Southern Baptist background, but others are just dumb as dirt. And those are always funny to watch too. There was also this guy, Steve Shives. I liked him. Uh, I don't really know what happened to him. He kind of dropped off the radar from what I've heard. But yeah, I like Steve Shives from what I've heard. Um, this guy, Seth Andrews, I've also met him in person. He was very, very nice. Uh, he runs the, oh shit, what is it? I'm blanking on the name. The Thinking Atheist podcast. And that's a good podcast too. I recommend everybody check that out. I used to listen to that all the time. Um, but everything changed when the Fire Nation attacked, ladies and gentlemen. But that's kind of gonna come up Uh, for right now, I want to talk about the good old days. These were the days where Dankey was, oh yes, and then this guy. There was a time where I looked up to TJ. I'm sad to say I looked up to him. This was before I discovered his penchant for bananas and hot oil. This is before I discovered his money grubbing, e-begging ways and just the I don't know, man. Just TJ went down that sort of MAGA chud alt-right rabbit hole, and even though he didn't fully go there, he just really didn't. He represented the stereotype of like the neckbeard atheist very, very well. Let me just say that. Then we got Lacey Green. Um, Basically, I wish she was my girlfriend. But anyway, she uh made some pretty good videos on like sex education, but she also makes some pretty darn good videos on uh just feminism in general, uh, and atheism back in the day. So yeah, that was Lacey Green. Um, then there are these dudes, fucking Richard Dawkins, Christopher Hitchens, Sam Harris, and Daniel Dennett. Dan Dennett's sort of the dark horse in this whole four horsemen of the atheist apocalypse because I don't really know too much about him. These other three guys, if you would have found a young Dankey when he was just going into college, he would have told you he worshipped these three gentlemen. Nowadays, I would chastise young Dankey and say, "Why do you worship these reactionary chuds?" After all, Sam Harris, very Islamophobic. Christopher Hitchens supported the war in Iraq and Afghanistan. You know, Richard Dawkins, I don't know too much about him, but he kind of seems like a stuffy kind of guy. Not super progressive, but I don't know. I like Dawkins. He's okay, I guess. Then there's this brilliant gentleman, Aaron Ra. He is smart. He's a paleontologist, I believe. So shout out to fellow Earth Science uh, guy. I really liked and still like his videos to this day. He continues to be active in the community of Austin, trying to just spread the good word and all that stuff. Then there's this guy, Potholer54. He's awesome. He's amazing. He's stupendous. He's tremendous. He's basically me. All right, guys. He's a geology boy. He's a geology boy, and as a fellow geology boy, I have to say, commend my commendations to you, friend. I myself, a student in the field of geology, and I love the field, and this guy does too, and he makes videos that sort of helped get me interested into that field. His works on the Grand Canyon, in particular, dude, you kind of sparked my interest for my interest in geology. So thank you, Potholer54, for helping me find my way in college and find my major and all that stuff. Thank you, dude. Then there's this man, fellow Southern guy, Cult of Dusty. He's from Mississippi. Which, if you know Memphis, it's pretty much right next door to Memphis, and Mississippi, it sucks, and and Dusty knows that, and he's not afraid to say that, and he's not afraid to speak out against all the fucking white supremacist chuds that live in his state, in the same way that I'm not afraid to speak out against all the fucking Nazi chuds that live in my state. So, as fellow Southern, I guess, progressives, you could call us. I don't know if Cult of Dusty's necessarily a comrade, like a socialist dude, but he seems, kind of like a sockadem or something along those lines. Uh, but he and I shared kind of similar backgrounds. We were both Alex Jones boys at one point. So, this wasn't at the same time. I was an Alex Jones boy very shortly before I was involved in like the YouTube atheist skeptic community. I was sort of growing out of my Alex Jones phase concurrently with my religion. I was snapping out of all kinds of manners of delusions. So yeah, I mean, that's part one. In part two, we'll talk about what happened to this thriving community of online atheists. We'll talk about what caused it to really go downhill and what happened to it, what became of it, and how they pretty much abandoned everything that they used to stand for. So stay tuned for part two.